Welcome back to Buff-A-Touille. Today we're going to have some fun making two things. We're going to, first of all, we're going to teach you how to grind your own meat, and we're going to use that ground meat to make Oklahoma smash burgers. So one of the things we try to do here on Buff-A-Touille is try and make things the way that you can do it at home, so you don't need any specialized ingredients or equipment. Today would be an exception. You will need a meat grinder of some kind in order to do that. We're going to use our KitchenAid mixer for grinding that. So for us to get started today, we bought a chuck roast. The chuck roast has a really good ratio of fat to meat, and so it makes a really good choice for your selection on the type of meat to grind. This one here is about 2.5 pounds, and it might sound like a lot, but these are so good that you probably regret maybe not buying two of these. But so we'll get started. We'll show you how to get started. You want to cut this up into small pieces, and then it works a lot better if you freeze it before you grind it. So we'll show you how to cut it up next, and then we'll throw it in the freezer and grind it. Okay, so when we cut this up, we want to cut it up into pieces that are about like this for size. That makes a pretty good size. And then as far as the fat, don't throw anything away. The only thing you'd ever want to throw away is if you have like maybe some really nasty gristle, but this fat is going to be ground up into the meat. It's very important that we have it. And actually the fatter, the better. So we'll go ahead and we'll cut this up, and we'll see you in a bit. All right, so next thing we gotta do after we got it cut up, hopefully you saw that was really pretty easy. We're gonna put it in a 1-gallon freezer bag, and we're gonna freeze it for about 30 minutes. And then we're gonna grind it. So a little advice here is put your grinding equipment in the freezer too. You also want it cold. So the attachments for our KitchenAid mixer are in the freezer. We have the stainless steel version, and so they're chilling. All right, so now we're ready to get started on the grinding. Like I said, we have the KitchenAid attachment grinder for that. It's nice and cold. The meat is nice and cold. It'd be nice to be a little colder, but we are hungry. So we're gonna go ahead. I've got my assistant that's gonna help. Normally there'd be a plate up here. We don't use that, but we're still safe. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on to speed 4, and we'll start grinding. All right, so as you can see, that was pretty easy. Now, one thing I highly recommend is you immediately clean up your mixer equipment while that meat is still fresh on there. So we just walked away and we cleaned that equipment that needs to be hand washed. So we did that. One reason to grind your own meat, you know the source of the cut that you're grinding. If you're using ground beef from a store, it could come from multiple cows. You don't know what kind of cut it came from. But in this case, we know that this came from a single cow because it was one chuck roast. We also know that the chuck roast is the cut that we prefer for this kind of burger. So, all right, sorry about that interruption. Chloe is super excited to have some Oklahoma burgers tonight. So now that we got our meat cut, the one thing we need to do next is our onions. So I went ahead and started to prepare our onions. In this case, we have 5 Vidalia onions. I don't know if we'll use them all, but we're going to use a lot of them. So with that, I'd like to apologize to my sister Brenda, who absolutely hates onions. But sorry, we love it. So we're going to go ahead. The key with the onions, you need to slice them super thin. So we're going to use a mandolin cutter for those. You want to cut them as thin as you possibly can. So we'll go ahead and do that next. Okay, so we've got our pan nice and hot here. I'm gonna go ahead and toast the buns just a little bit. Just a little bit. And we got beef tallow in here, by the way. After I toast them just a little bit, we're gonna make 2 patties. We're gonna make this about 3 to 5 ounce patties. 3 ounce will be identical. They're gonna be larger than a golf ball in size. All right, we got a little toasting going there. Go ahead and make our 2 patties to smash. So we'll smash them with the onions on top. When you grind your beef, it's really loose, unless you grind it several times. There's protein or there's something inside of it that normally when you buy it from the store, it's really sticky, but when you grind it yourself, it's not. So it's just be aware that it's going to come apart easily. You don't want too big of a meatball because it won't fit on the bun. All right, now we're gonna really cover it with onion. And then same amount. Give it an initial smash. What we're looking for is the meat start to brown on the edges. Then it'll take just a couple minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and add some seasoning to it right now. And salt, pepper, garlic. My assistant has made one of her favorite secret sauces today. And so we'll be applying that when we're ready to eat it. It's a blend of ketchup, mayonnaise, and garlic. Once we do the flip, we'll go ahead and we'll set the cheese on them, and then also we will put the buns on top to steam. So this will be a double cheeseburger. We'll go ahead and flip this one, flip the other one. Have the plate, yep. Go ahead and add those onions on top there. Add the cheese. I'm gonna do one bottom, one top. This will only take about 2 minutes. So, you know, you have a completely different experience when you grind your own meat versus buying store-bought ground beef. And it kind of is hard because once you make that transition, it's really hard to go back to already processed ground beef. But it takes a little bit longer to do this, but there's no comparison in flavor. Okay, we are going to plate this. I'm going to pull that bottom bun off. I'm going to take this one, set it on there. As you can see, we're much larger than the much larger than the bun. All right, I'll pull that off. Okay, so before we even try this, we got to put on the sauce from my assistant. Her favorite sauce. You can go ahead and add that to it. And as you can see, there is a lot of burger here. I'm thinking I might need to cut it in half. Oh my. Look at that. Okay, we're gonna sample this. All right, so here we go. I can see now I have lost part of the bun. I think this has become a fork and knife burger. Can you grab me a fork, please? And just set it down. Oh, wow. That's really good. It has I don't know if you like White Castle or not, but because of all the onions, it has like a premium White Castle flavor to it. It's really good. I decided to use a fork and knife just because it got so soggy on the bottom. That's all right. Part of that was our process of preparing things for the video, but the flavor is incredible. Between the freshly ground or cut beef, all of the whole package working together. Just amazing. By far one of my favorite burgers. So right now my burger is disappearing. My assistant has taken it from me and is devouring it. So with that, we just want to thank you for joining us again today on another Buff-A-Touille experience. Have a great day.